Hi everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of Pitstop Fracas. I'm your host Anik, and I am in the fine company today of Mr. Will Knowledge's. We're stuck. Bloody hell, bro! I'm getting stage fright. You're giving me stage fright. Just in the company of someone special. It's Mr. Will Knowledge himself. Chris, how you doing, man?
I'm good. Fresh off, winning a little quiz at friend of the show's Tomo and Aldous' live show. So, putting respect on our name, the people in the streets, the people who come out know that, we at Pitstop Fracas, we have real knowledge. Like we know our stuff.
I taught you
How
well.
are you, brother?
I taught you well. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna claim it somehow, some way. You know me, I'll claim it, bro. All those clips that I used to wheel up from 1991, 1996, Damon Hill, David Coulthard. I even remember the quiz. Remember when we done the quiz a few last year on the British Grand Prix, and I was like, oh, name me 5 corners. And you were like, yeah, Anik, I would have got on straight away and rolled off those answers. But yeah, man, I'm good. You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. I can't complain, man. Let's get tucked in. It's only a 2-man show right now.
Show, man. What can we say, man? Everyone's, they've run a summer break, innit?
They're off the teams, bro. They said the factory shut down, bro. My pod mic is locked away.
We're the ones putting in the work. Actually, like some teams on the F1 grid, we are putting in work, and they should be as well. And trust me, bro, we're gonna get into that. We've got we're gonna touch on Spa today. We're gonna go through some of the winners and losers. As part of like a little mid-season review, a little open discussion about dominance in F1, and then touch on silly season and probably a few listeners' questions. Should be a good pod. Should be an interesting pod. Keep everyone entertained over the summer break period. And I suppose on that note, if you are listening on Apple or Spotify, please make sure to give us a 5-star review and a rating. If you're watching us back on YouTube, remember to like, comment, and subscribe to Pitstop Fracas. Standard with Twitter, follow us at Pitstop Fracas as well as Instagram.
Is it still Twitter or is it X or whatever it is now?
Oh, whatever is it? Yeah, Twitter. So I don't listen. I'm not even looking after the Twitter account anymore. Some of the stuff that I've seen people tweeting recently. Actually, Kwame, I know you're listening to this, but he's put me off the account completely. But Twitter.
Yep, I think we just still put it to everyone knows that's Twitter.
Yeah, TikTok. You looking after that, right?
No, that's Marts. Marts is on TikTok. Yeah. I'm IG, so I do the Instagram.
I upset Marts this week, but what did I say? I came on with some NBA prop or something, but he didn't.
Oh, we're not courtside Fracas. Go listen to them, man. If you want NBA talk, I'm not trying to hear NBA talk from Anik right now.
Hold on, let's talk about football because, as I said at the start, just like F1, at the start of every season, sit down, I assess the teams, and again, same thing happened. Winter break, I looked at it and I thought, you know what, Red Bull going to dominate. Presto, 10 out of 10. I think the same about Arsenal. You know that, like, I'm seeing something about Arsenal this year. They could be onto something, you know that.
I'm not entertaining this. I'm not entertaining this. That's touchdown Fracas talk. I'm good. I'm just enjoying the fact we won the English Super Cup yesterday, and I'm good. I'm good. I don't need this Anik Chris to kick in already. You know.
No. Listen, that Arsenal good team made some good signings. Very, very good signings. Shrewd signings. You know, it's all about progress. Go from second, potentially win it. You never know. Anyway, forget Arsenal. Let's talk about F1. So yeah, Belgium, bro. Sprint weekend. But same old story, man. Max dominated the race, and he won the sprint race as well. Give me like your little 5-minute, a couple-minute recap on the race, and then we'll get stuck into a few key events from the race.
Okay, it was just okay. It's all right, I guess. It's one of them ones where Max had a penalty, so he didn't just start from P1 and win the race easily. He had to do some overtakes, which I'm sure he enjoys, so that a little bit of racing before driving off. You know, some good mixed conditions running in qualies and sprint qualies and all sorts. Generally, there's not really much to talk about, you know. Max Kosov, like, basically, you have one of the best drivers in the grid in the best car, comfortably best car. You're gonna get this result as long as you don't do anything stupid. You're gonna win the race. So
I think
it is what it is.
It was probably the moment he got around the first corner, right? If he got around the first corner unscathed, you knew what was coming. You know, rain or shine, yeah, he was going to win. It was just a question of how much. Yeah, I mean, look, I had pole. I mean, he couldn't get past the fourth corner him because the Red Bull was just superior in the straight. And then, obviously, like we'll talk about the gap to Perez later, but I just think you just can't see beyond Max now. What, eight wins in a row?
Yes, 8 wins in a row. He goes to tie the record at home in Zandvoort after summer break. So they're gonna live it up.
Big time.
That race is literally just a big party for Max.
Yeah. So just for references, Vettel holds the record in 2013 when he won 9 races in a row. Max is on 8 at the moment, and if he wins next time out in Zandvoort, then yeah, he's going to be online. Bro, let's talk about George Russell. Talk me through what happened there, Lewis. Was it the sprint? The
sprint quali.
Yeah.
Lewis, basically,
turn 1. George goes wide.
He was being an idiot. Like, the thing is, yeah, I know I'm known as like Mr. George Russell. I do the defense force and it's shameless, whatever. But I tell the truth. He was being an idiot, and it's one way he has to hold the corner, and Toto Wolff needs to speak to him and go, brother, what happened? If he didn't apologize to Lewis, they need to get Toto to be like, brother, whatever happened there, go say sorry. And like, because like, obviously, him overtaking Lewis again to get back in front, fine, whatever. After Hungary, you don't make the same mistake twice. Like, the first time, shame on you. The second time, shame on me. So he overtook everyone because it was like, bruv, after what happened in Hungary, I'm making the moves. Like, I don't care. But when you mess up your lap, get out the way, man. Just get out, stay out the way. And it's one of those things where, like, he needs to calm down a bit, because I think he's trying too hard because things have gotten away from him a little bit.
When you say get away, what exactly do you reckon is getting away? Do you reckon the car has a big thing to play here?
No, because do you know what it is? It's him. So, like, since they put the upgrades on, it's a mix of him making silly mistakes, and then Lewis has gone from strength to strength. So it's like, or even if he's been driving well, he can, he ends up behind Lewis anyway. So, for example, in Silverstone, he drove well, he ended up behind Lewis anyway. He wants to, like, his target is to beat Lewis. Like, there's no championships, there's not even race wins, like, there's nothing. So it's fine, your teammate. Like, I know he's on Twitter reading tweets. Like,
he's definitely there. He definitely reads what's been said about him.
Yeah, like,
and I think that's what makes him a bit of a dick at times. Trying to put it nicely.
No, that's fine. You can call him that. Like, people say that, and I'm like, that's why I like him, because it's like, it's honesty. Like, he can come across a bit boring and cardboard and PR, but you can tell that, you know, he's there to win races and win championships. That's all he truly cares for. And he's there to be like, I'm the best. And he's there, he wants to tussle and fight the best. Like, he's trying to go for machine against Lewis Hamilton. He's losing, but that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to fight. And it's the same reason where he's like, we need to get the car to catch up to Red Bull, because I'm trying to fight Max. Like, I'm trying to go blow for blow, you know, trying to machine for machine. Like that's what the energy he's giving. So it's
But-
one thing.
So you're a big advocate of George, and you have been for a while. But you're very careful to say that, look, he's a great driver, but let's remind ourselves that he's going up against Lewis. So whenever Lewis does do what he's doing to him, which is literally like walking all over him at the moment, like, don't be surprised. There is still a talent there.
Yeah, because the best way to put it is Lewis is beating him on the metrics. Like you say, races like 9-3, whatever. But if you look at the average finishing position, Lewis is like P4, George is P5. So it's not like when Lewis is 50 seconds down the road every race and George is like a million miles away. Like Lewis is P4 in the championship, George is P6 on countback. It's not, the gap isn't in a place where he's disgracing himself.
The gap is a bit big between the two.
Yeah,
The
but George has two. The points gap is big, but George has 2 DNFs, and that's what adds to it. So it's not like a thing of, okay, Canada, that's his own fault. Australia wasn't his fault. He was quicker that weekend. So it's like, it compounds what's going on. But I'm not here to be like, oh, this is crazy. Because it's the same thing I said last year when George was ahead last year, but I said Lewis was faster. Lewis is still faster now, he's ahead. And it's like, the luck's balanced out. So we're seeing this. But it's like, I've just said George can, he can hang, and he's shown himself to be one of the elite drivers on the grid. Because like, you're up against Lewis Hamilton in his house. Like, people need to respect that this is Lewis Hamilton. We're talking about the GOAT here. We're not talking about, some regular guy, or we're not talking about someone, who's just, we're not talking about a regular guy. We're talking about Lewis Hamilton. Like, there's levels to this.
Sir Lewis Hamilton. He's only Sir.
This is Sir Lewis Hamilton. Like, we need to remember who we're talking about when you're comparing teammates. It's not like, oh, he's going life and death with Carlos Sainz. He's going life and death with Perez. He's going life and death with Ocon. No. This is Lewis Hamilton, So it's one thing that's like, let's calm down a little bit before, we talk too much about George's performance. Yeah, he's not driving at his best, but he's not far off expectations. He's meeting the bare minimum that the car can do.
The car has evolved, and naturally it's got wider side pods, which I was very strong-minded about also last year and the beginning of this year. I think the car's a bit better than what it was. It's shown a bit of promise. It's got pole positions, and now I think in the hands of Lewis, it is showing the ability to definitely get on the podium.
But that's the thing. That's the same. They're in the same place they were last year. Because this time last year they had 1 pole position and some podiums.
Yeah. I just let me be very careful with what I say here. Last year, the car was at no point close, in my view, close to even it wasn't close to Red Bull second half of the year, but I don't think it was like genuinely quicker than Ferrari. This year, I think the Mercedes, I think Ferrari, I think Aston Martin, I think McLaren, of course, all have the ability to be that strong second. And I think the Mercedes go there, and I think it's going there. And I think potentially by the end of the year, it could be, depends on what Ferrari do, obviously, and what all the other teams do as well. But I just think Lewis has helped to develop that car, because they were a bit off towards the end of the year, but I think Lewis has done well. And bro, he had another very good weekend as well. Fair enough, in the race he did come fourth, but he snatched the fastest lap at the end. Obviously, Max was going to overtake him. He's going to overtake Leclerc as well. But good weekend for Lewis. Claimed a solid haul of points. Almost took Alonso P2. But yeah, man, this give me your thoughts on Lewis Hamilton's weekend.
It was a good weekend. I think it showed he put the car, like, not where it belonged. He put it a bit above where it belonged because it was the third fastest car. So I think Ferrari were quicker. Like, I don't know how, but Ferrari were quick, and Charles did a very solid weekend, and they made no mistakes. And then lo and behold, they get P3, and they do it really well. So it's one of those situations where Mercedes remain roughly where they're like. The one thing I'll say about them, they're very consistent, and Lewis has been very consistent, driving at a very high level. So there's no flaws. He did get kind of screwed by George. He got screwed by George in sprint quali. And then he drove good races, and it's just a thing of the Ferraris were a bit too fast, and but you can't fault him.
You can't. Do you reckon Lewis started P3, Sainz was P4? P4, I think. What was it, grid? It was P1. There is P2. Yeah, Sainz was 4th, then Piastri, then Max. Sainz went in. He had a stinker weekend. He went in. He took out Piastri. I reckon if Sainz had got through that first corner unscathed, he would have challenged Lewis. I know you keep saying that. Yeah, the Ferrari was quick. Do you reckon he would have challenged Lewis for P4?
No, I don't think
Lewis has got too much about him.
Yeah, I think. Put this way, Leclerc is part of, let's say, the elite 7 drivers on the grid. Now Oscar's kind of just he's Oscar's in there. He's not at the top or like anything, but he's in the group of drivers where I sit there and go, when I watch you for the eye test and I look up the numbers, they correlate, and we can see that you are levels, and Sainz isn't in that group, and it's one of those things where, because he's not in that group, when you see all these other guys tussling, he's not involved. And it's like, he has no podiums on a Sunday. Like, everyone else apart from Oscar doesn't, but like, that's a bit,
fair enough.
A bad safety car came against him in Silverstone. Like, it was through bad luck he didn't have
and he would have been, he would have got a podium then,
So it wasn't like it was through lack of skill. Whereas with Sainz, it's been lack of skill. Like, him and Stroll have been skill challenged to get onto the podium. So
we'll come on to silly season as well with Sainz. Because it was a bad weekend for him, and he wrecked Piastri's race as well. I don't know. Did one blame the other for it? Sainz blamed Piastri.
Sainz blamed Piastri, and then Piastri was just like, yeah, maybe I did it a bit wrong, but it was one of those ones where if Sainz had just gone, this is racing, things happened, I don't think the whole everyone hating on him thing would have been a thing. But because he kind of,
I think it's what he said.
Yeah, what he said, everyone's kind of a bit like, bro, you locked up and went across. Like, not so much.
Because he did go. He did go flying in. But right, Max got away with it, man. Just like, you know what? As much as I'm a Red Bull fan, why don't one of these guys just clip his rear tire or just take off his front wing, make him pit, make him have to come from the back or something? Make it a little bit difficult for him, because it's just too straightforward. Bro, he could start the first lap backwards, go backwards round the Spa, turn around, 1 lap down and come back, and he'll still be able to win. That's how dominant that car is.
Well,
to see
the car is crazy, and then he's one of the best on the grid, and it's like, it's simple maths. You put an elite driver in a rocket ship of a car, they're going to do crazy things. And it's like Lewis Hamilton in 2020 was doing crazy things, driving cars with 3 wheels across the line to win races. Vettel in 2013 won 9 races in a row. Michael Schumacher 2004 won 12 out of the first 13 races. Like, this is what happens when you put these guys in special cars. And
I think, yeah, go on, carry on.
Yeah, no, that's it. It's like, this is what happens. You put the special driver in special cars.
So let's just talk a little bit about this dominance thing. The fact that F1 is becoming potentially boring. It's losing viewership. Fair enough. Okay, and you know what? My stance on it has actually changed. I like to consider myself ahead of the game. At the start of the year, I was like, you know what? Let's praise Red Bull. Let's appreciate what they've done. This is dominance. We've been through this. Formula One goes through these cycles. McLaren 88, Ferrari's early 2000s, XYZ. Yeah. But now I'm at a point where, okay, bravo. He's going to win. He's probably going to win every single race. Yeah. He can win at 60%. Yeah. F1 is about spectacle as well. And they need to make it interesting some way or another. And I'm not saying to like Red Bull, oh, fantastic. What more do you want? Like, what more do you want us to say about Red Bull? Hey, what, you want to win every single trophy by 1 minute? What more do you want us to say? How much more praising do you want? Let's start looking at F1. Let's just try and make it a little bit interesting. You know what I mean? Because it's all well and good seeing these battles further down. It's all well and good seeing, or maybe an incident at the first corner, or George blocking off Lewis. Like, bro, when was the last time? Have we seen this season a genuine overtake for the lead? I'm talking about like Max versus Checo in Miami. Yeah, I'm talking like a genuine fight, a scrap for first place. Like, it's not like that. It's not like, you know what? F1 peaked the first race of 2022 when Leclerc and Max were going at it for literally 3 laps at the same corner. You don't see that no more. It does get me because these people were saying, oh, you should credit Red Bull. They've done, bro, amazing, bro. What do you want? You're doing well. I mean, what do you want?
Do you know what it is? We're still in the honeymoon period of Red Bull winning. So we're still at the point where the F1 guys aren't happy to kind of start changing the rules. Because if you exclude 2021, because that is some nonsense, like 2022, this is season 2 of Max dominance and Max winning.
Mm-hmm.
This is season 2 of it. Look back at whenever teams start dominating, start winning, like the first 2 seasons, they're like, yeah, go on, cook. It's when you reach season 3 and the team is still smoking everyone that they make the rule changes, start changing stuff and go, yeah, this can't run anymore. This is a big problem. Let's start changing up the rules, changing up the thing. So next season, if the other teams don't step up and reach the level that Red Bull are running at, then they'll change the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Because look at Mercedes. They had 2014, 2015, and 2016 chilling. 2017, they changed all the rules. Then they went 2017, it was close. 2018, Ferrari fell off. 19, then 2021, they're supposed to change the rules again. But it got delayed because of COVID. But they still did some fuddling some stuff. But again, it's like you have 2-3 years to see what's going on, and then they just change the rules. So we're still in the honeymoon period of these rule sets where they're gonna allow Max to win before they start changing up rules. They'll change how points are scored, all sorts to kind of nerf man. Because now obviously,
Go on. Bro, you can just see it though. It's like the writing's on the wall. F1 goes in cycles. It's so obvious. So it's got all the hallmarks. The early Ferrari, early 2000s with Ferrari, Red Bull, late 2010, early 2010s. But I said this in the group chat as well. Like, if you go back in time, when has there actually been like a season where there's been one guy dominating all season? Just one guy. Okay, you can go back to Mercedes and their dominance. Even all those years, Rosberg knocking on the door. And when he left, start of 2017, Vettel was there. Like, there's not been a moment like where there's just one guy just dominating it.
No, I will
And
say
you,
this.
yeah,
I'll
go
say
on.
this. One thing that people forget is, in 2015, yeah, it's a bit of a false image because Rosberg won some races at the end of the season.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Hamilton had smoked
yeah.
everyone,
Mm-hmm.
and it was really bad. And it's the same thing that happened. Let's say it was 2019 when where Hamilton was just like, yeah, I'm gone.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one thing where what happens when you have elite drivers and elite machinery, and it's like there's no one close. So it's
Yeah.
like we just
But what
have
are we
to
gonna do here, though? Are we just gonna sit here and like, okay, bro?
this
I'm a
year
Red
we have
Bull
to
fan.
sit here.
We have to just sit here and just appreciate it for how long? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, I'm a F1 fan first and foremost. Yeah, I want to see. You know, I don't even want to see overtakes at the back. I want to see a battle for the lead. Yeah, I want to be there watching the race up to the last lap and saying, actually, you know what? Fuck, he could overtake him and he could win the race here. When was the last time, bro? When was genuine the last time we saw that? At the moment, bro, we're watching these races for fastest laps. We're watching these races for Max to be winning by 30 seconds so he can do a pit stop ahead of his teammate, or a pit stop ahead of Leclerc like he done in Australia. That's what we're watching the races for. Watching it for P2.
I think I get it, but it's like do you know what it is? I've accepted it this season, and it's one thing. It's like sometimes you just have to I've accepted it. Like Red Bull cooked, the other teams failed. Like there's nothing more I can do. Like unless Red Bull breach the budget cap or something, and then we can go and strip them of all of their points. There is nothing that we can do at this point. It's like because we tried last year to kind of nerf the teams, and it didn't work. It boosted Red Bull's advantage. So it's not a thing of where we could just be like, someone has to figure out where Red Bull's advantage is specifically and take that away. Until that's done, there's nothing
Bro,
that we can really do.
F1 can't be going to places like Vegas and introducing all these new circuits and making it all about the entertainment and the corporate, all of that, when the on-track racing is good. Then you're just looking at just like a glorified circus that moves around the world, 24 times a year. That's literally what it's going to end up being. And I'll tell you one thing, that Red Bull car right now, that can still go a second or a second and a half quicker. There's still so much potential in that car that they can unlock, and I reckon they're holding it back as well.
Yeah,
That's how dominant that car is.
The thing is, we can tell because I think drivers can tell, and when because obviously, when drivers kind of speak, I listen really closely because they can always tell how other men are driving. If man are on the limit, on the edge, maximizing things. If there's a little bit more, and they're just going like, yeah, Max is chilling. Like Max is not driving 100%. He's driving enough to win these races, but there's still more in him. And it's like, but these men are like, I know if I get a car that's up there, I'll give him a terrible day. And you can all see that they're all hungry to get that car.
They want that,
They want it.
Anyway, bro, man, that hit me. That hit me, that little topic, because it's been like bubbling up inside me, and I'm just reading all these reports, and it really does frustrate me. Turning around, we have to say, oh, okay, Red Bull, we got to appreciate it. Mercedes, no, man, we're here for the here and now, man, and we want to see excitement on the track. Simple as. Anyway, let's quickly touch on your mid-season review. 10 races in. Let's do.
Wait. Before we go to mid-season review, I'm gonna make one last thing about Spa. Yeah,
Go for it.
Haas, we saw what you were doing in the sprint quali and how you didn't set any laps. We saw you. We can see you. We can see you smelling it up. Don't think that we ignore you. We at Pitstop Fracas, we see the mess ups. Yeah. You guys did no quali laps in like 10 minutes. Bruv, it was a stinker. And you had your guys out here apologizing, you know, your guys slandering your drivers. Yeah. You can't blame your drivers for not setting any quali laps because the team kept on calling man in. I see you, Amayo Komatsu. I see you. That's your fault. Good to stand. I see your team, your employees. That's why I never see no Haas employees get employed by Alpine or Ferrari or nothing, bruv. You never see Haas employees moving up and around, bruv. They're just still there because you're stinking.
Terrible for Haas. Really, really bad. Like their last point was what? Who?
Austria sprint race. So they don't get points in proper races anymore. It's the sprint races. That's your
races. It's okay. Yeah, proper race. It was then. Hulkenberg, terrible. Started from the pit lane. Started from pit lane. Magnussen didn't do much either. Good. This is not good.
Hired for a Minardi designer, just a car up like a Minardi, and it runs like a Minardi.
Like a Minardi. That's a
good riddance.
Gonna run like a Minardi. That's our pod. Then, all right, come. Let's look at this mid-season review. Let's just do it really straightforward. Speaking of Haas, are you your most disappointed team of the season so far?
Okay. I don't know how Ferrari have caught life because they're third on my list. So Ferrari caught life in third place, and we'll put Haas in. I'm gonna put Haas in second. I expected them to be bad, but not as bad as what they've been. And number one belongs to Alpine because you've actually just gone backwards now.
Yeah, terrible. Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Shit, what happened there? Yeah. Alpine. They had a decent end to 2022, and there's a lot of people saying, you know what, they're going to be knocking on the door. They'll be there or thereabouts. They got I remember even saying it on one pod. They got a fiery driver lineup. I was excited to see what happens between Ocon and Gasly. Bro, they end up just taking each other out. Australia, sorry, just sticks in mind. I just can't get that out of my head. That picture of them two taking each other out. But it's for me, it's got to be Alpine, man. They haven't done well at all. And then getting rid of their principal, like he's walking out before the race even started. What's going on here, man?
It's one where because they fired him because basically they wanted to get rid of some people, and he was like, nah. They're all disagreeing. So he's like, you know what, go away. Like it was a kind of thing of too many people in that team were stinking, and the group at Renault kind of saw because they've seen Aston Martin, and they're like, oh, you know what, Lawrence Stroll's putting billions in whatever. Then they saw McLaren make their jump, and they just kind of sat there and went, bruv, our engines aren't cooking, our chassis is not good, nothing's good. Like, what are you guys doing? And they had to pull the plug because obviously you got investors involved now. So it's like it's not a thing of back in the day where it's like it's just the Renault team that you got some investors on the side as well. So it's like,
bro, this comes back to that whole talk of F1 dominance. Like getting big companies investing in the team. If a team's not doing well, just crazy. What, do we all just invest in Red Bull now?
Yeah, just invest in Red Bull. You can't rely on any of the other teams. they all have their own different things. Like obviously, McLaren are on the way up, and we'll see how high up they can go. Because obviously, it's one thing to design a good car; it's another thing to continuously improve it. Because that's where I think the difference between Red Bull and everyone else is. So like Mercedes come out with a rubbish car and develop it well. Ferrari will come up with a good car and then not really develop it well. Aston Martin have done the same thing as Ferrari. They, copied word for word, bar for bar, copied Ferrari's game plan. McLaren, we don't know yet. So Red Bull, they had a good car at the beginning of last year and developed it, and it flew away. And this year they've come up with a good car. Don't have to do too much. Just chill.
It's like respect to the late Murray Walker. His analogy was catching is one thing, passing is another. So you can have a quick car, you can take it from on the grid second, but quick car and having the best car is a completely different thing. And that's exactly what it is. Red Bull I think it's got too much of a buffer to the other teams. Like they can get close, but they will just, bro, the gap just delete everything. It's like Ferrari. Like we know that part of the season there was tire management. 80s, it could have been a concept that they were going on. Even Ferrari had to change their concepts. It is what it is. So what your worst team then, or your most disappointing team so far is Haas?
I'll say Alpine. Alpine have been worse relative to expectations.
Driver then. Current driver. You can't have Nick de Vries, yeah. Can't have Nick de Vries. Current driver.
Ooh, it's a tie.
You know what? I'm gonna have to go check. You might call me crazy that he's still second, but I just think gaps in the races. I think from the start of the season that he had, like Baku, held his own there. Even in Saudi Arabia as well, fair and square. And it's just like, then how many, 5 non-Q3 appearances or something like that. Yeah. It's just not good enough. I just think the gaps in the race is just not good enough. And I really think his head's on the chopping block for next year. I reckon if Danny Rick has a strong end to the season, he could take him for 2024.
I don't disagree with the whole whether him or Yuki Tsunoda are taking his seat. I don't disagree at all. I see it's very easily done, because it's one thing where if Red Bull sense that the other teams will get close, they'll make the swap.
Yeah.
But for the thing is, I can't put Perez just yet. He's in my bottom 5, but he's not bottom 1, because I think some other people have done worse.
Who else is about?
So in my bottom 5, let's say excluding Logan Sargent, because whatever, like no one cares too tough. My bottom 2 are Kevin Magnussen and Valtteri Bottas, because I think people haven't noticed how bad Bottas has been this season, and it's like I don't think Alfa Romeo are that bad for him to have been as bad. He's just been disappearing every other week, and you're like, what did Bottas do this week? And you're like, why is Bottas last? And it's always like a bit of bad luck here, a bit of bad luck. No, you can't have that much bad luck. You need to put in some performances. The first race of the season, he cooked in Bahrain, and then he just says, my day off. And then it's like, your teammate is Zhou. Zhou's not amazing.
But Zhou's beating him, isn't he?
Well, Zhou's behind by 1 point. And I'm just like...
And Zhou's not the best driver either. So.
Yeah, it's like, no one can tell me 5 class Zhou drives. No one can tell me 5 good Zhou drive. So the fact that he's as close to Bottas as he is just kind of shows the level that Bottas has been operating at. And it's not that the car was rubbish to drive, because they've both come out and said the car feels nice, we're just a bit slow. So there's nothing for me to be kind of being like, yeah, you've been doing good. And then with Magnussen, it's more just, like if you do a half decent qualifying, the pressure will be off. But I think that's more of, but it's tied with a Haas issue. But I think
Magnussen's had decent drives here or there,
it's
a
had some
couple of
decent
decent
races.
drives, but
Like
I
when
think
Miami
the
gets Leclerc,
trajectory is
that
down.
Yeah,
look against Leclerc, that was pretty good. Like he held him off for like half the race or something.
Yeah, he was just like, he was like, I'm not getting any more points. I'm gonna have some fun. So like, you cooked these times battling the curb, but I respect it because
But
that's entertainment.
Haas do complain a lot. Well, they do tell us a lot about their tire problems. What do you reckon is the cause of that?
They borrow parts from Ferrari, so they get the Ferrari benefits and the Ferrari curses in on steroids. So whereas Ferrari will just turn around and fix it, Haas is kind of stuck there because they don't really have the capability, the capacity. So apparently after summer they're getting upgrades to kind of fix it or stuff. But I have no hopes because I've never seen a Haas upgrade improve the car. So
there you go. What about a team? I suppose surprise team probably has to be Alpine, right? The Martin. Has to be.
I'm gonna say McLaren.
McLaren were good last year.
They won. It was just
sorry. They weren't good last year, but I think for Aston Martin to go from where they went to the start of the season, they were clear second at the start of the season, and I just think that jump was enough. My point of view, to put them there.
I think McLaren are second now. I think Aston Martin have gone backwards, and Aston Martin bottled the race win. And I'm not letting people I'm not letting them get away with that. You see, Monaco, if they pitted Alonso onto intermediates, while Max and Red Bull were doing a stink of a strategy, they would have won easily. But they bottled it and put Alonso on mediums.
I think no. Put him on intermediates when he didn't need to go on intermediates.
No, they put him on mediums when he's supposed to go on intermediates.
Oh yes,
Raining,
sorry, my bad.
It was raining. Because I've seen the footage of Max sliding around, driving awful. He was struggling.
Yeah, and then Alonso came out to say,
time.
and Alonso came out to say after, whatever we done we wouldn't have beat Red Bull anyway. But I think he knows deep down that if they had switched straight to intermediates, they could have won that.
They could have won. They could have done something. Like you put man under pressure, make him crumble. Like it's one of those things where I tell people they bottled that race win, and we don't like let it, because Red Bull had a stinker. They had Max on the wrong tires at the start. They made him extend his tires until the rain hit. Then they had him in the rain for too long. Like, we talk about Red Bull not making mistakes. They made mistakes that race.
Mistake after mistake.
They weren't punished. So it is what it is.
So what, you go McLaren then, yeah, for surprise team?
Yeah, McLaren. Like, to come from where they were, like in Bahrain, they were the worst car. We saw that car go into turn one. Lando and Oscar were fighting for their lives. And now it's looking at the second fastest car. That is like a big surprise. Like no one saw that. I saw them, fighting with Alpine, but they've gone beyond that. They're fighting with Mercedes and Ferrari and Aston Martin. Like,
I think the first race was Austria, right?
Yeah, Austria was like Ben Lando got the first parts in, and like it was already better than the Mercedes and the
Ferraris.
and the Aston Martin. No, yeah, Mercedes, Aston Martin. No, Ferrari were good in Austria. Ferrari are a weird team, man.
Ferrari don't know where they're going to do well, where they're not going to do well.
Yeah.
Sometimes good, sometimes shit, basically.
Big man. That's what they
are. What about the driver? Who's been the surprise driver? Now, this is what I'm probably going to go McLaren. And I always knew Piastri was a talent, but this year he has really like got his elbows out and shown that, you know what, I deserve to be up there with, you know, the top drivers, considered one of the top drivers, because he's even times got the better of Norris as well. Piastri for me has to be for a rookie as well, you know.
Yeah, but the thing is, I kind of believed in Piastri, and when I heard from like the thing is, again, apart from Lance Stroll, yeah, you see Lance Stroll, you hear any news for about Aston Martin about Lance Stroll, they're lying. It's you, if you don't say something nice, you're getting your P45 the next day. Yeah, Lawrence don't care. But you know when teams talk about their drivers, you can always kind of tell what who rates man and who isn't rated, and how they're rated, and so on and so forth. And it depends on who's saying it as well, if they have an agenda to get off or not. So like
People rate
the way
this kid.
McLaren, the
People
way they were
rate this
talking
kid.
about, yeah, they rate him. So I'm like, I know he's good. I don't know who my surprise is, because like no one's really surprised me. Because like obviously Yuki's been decent this season, but it's year 3. It's like it was do or die time. But I don't know how much of that is Nick De Vries being crap, and how much of it is him being good. Like, I can't tell yet, so I can't put him there.
I mean,
just yet.
Yuki done.
He does some good stuff.
It pains me to say this. He done well last race. Yeah, we should have actually touched on him as an honourable mention for last race. He did do well last race.
Yeah, he did well, but it's one thing where I'm kind of like, you know, sometimes where it's like some of the races where he was just beating Nick De Vries and we're just like, oh yeah, the car's rubbish, so we just ignored him. Whereas now with Danny Rick, it's kind of a thing of he kind of has to be closer to the limits of the car. And it's showing he has to be closer to the limits, because now it's like, if you're beating Danny Rick, all jokes aside, it's like a thing of Danny Rick is not De Vries. Like let's not talk about De Vries anymore, but like we know when it is. So, and then everyone else is like Albon. We knew what Albon was on from last year.
Silverstone was decent performance for him.
Yeah. Hulkenberg. It's Hulkenberg.
Hulkenberg's done all right. Come on, he jumped back in this year. Done well.
Yeah, but do you know what it is?
Doing better than his teammate.
Yeah, but part of it's like, you know, when you're watching races, and the races, you know, sometimes like you get to see the Haas fight on the screen for 2 minutes. You know, when it's Kevin Magnussen, it's elbows out. You know, these men are fighting. Hulkenberg, I'm just seeing man go past. I'm like, I can't give you the full plaudits because you're not making man fight for their lives. Like, I want to see you make a man suffer, like, because he did that against Alonso, and Alonso crashed out on his birthday, like.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see.
I just think coming back to it though, like the surprise, if you had to put your money on one person that's been the surprise this year, I can't look at Piastri.
No, that's fair. I don't have one. I'm just,
a hater, Chris. That's what it is.
It's not hate. I invested in Piastri stock from early.
No, hold on. Piastri, whilst we're here, Piastri is the only guy that we all have stocks in Pitstop. And I know people try and run a smear campaign against me and say that I didn't have stocks. I have always had stock in Piastri. Always.
My thing about the Piastri stock is more of, when did people invest before they talk about you're making money off this stock?
Are you checking when the trades were made? Yeah, you want timestamp for the trades.
Like, it's kind of thing where I kind of want to see some timestamps, because it's one thing you can hold people a bit more accountable on things when you have timestamp. Because man just saying, yeah, I bought Piastri stock when he's finishing P4, and it's like, brother, you bought it last week, bro. The price is already up. Like, the price is up.
It's true. That is true. Yeah.
So it's kind of like
a tweet out. and was like, "Oh, everyone's rating McLaren drivers now, yeah." Before sort of thing.
Yeah, because it's true. Because one of the ones where the place where you see who's what and who is when they're in the back. Because it's like, I remember in the first year we were doing the pod and man were doing Max v Charles in the group chat, yeah. Then I put George's name in there. I got laughed out the club, bruv. Then obviously he does some good performances and then his name is right up. His name goes right up in there. That's me going a stock that was worth nothing.
Yeah.
And that was now it's up. And it's like,
right, you're on big profit, bro.
Exactly.
Big profit.
We'll like nowadays we track some of the stocks. We track the stocks people have in F1 drivers. So like when they make it to the grid, you have to be like, am I invested in this guy or am I not invested?
FYI, when it comes to Chris is just working with profits now. No longer in depth. He's just working with his profits. He's eating off that.
Yeah, that's because everyone has Lewis Hamilton dividends. Like that's just easy profit. He's like, no one's ever bankrupt. We have Lewis Hamilton dividends. It's like, yeah. I'll chuck an extra million here, extra million there.
Whereas, all right, bro. I know you said we can't talk about De Vries, but I suppose Danny Rick taking his seat has kicked off what's known as F1 silly season, where you start looking at driver swaps, potential moving of team principals ahead of next year and subsequent years. I think the big news that came out this week was potentially Carlos Sainz.
Yeah.
Discussing his future with Ferrari. Talks around that. I think it's with Audi, right?
Yeah. So
it's Audi.
Yeah. So all I'm saying is Kwame's boy, Seidel, has hired James Key, who was sacked from McLaren for not being good enough. Mattia Binotto refused the job at Audi because he was like, the facilities are rubbish and he wasn't happy with what they were doing. And now you're about to hire Carlos Sainz, who is not fancied at Ferrari like that by the streets and the Elkan family. So it's looking horrendous for them. Like when you're a midfield team, having Carlos Sainz is fine. But if you're trying to be with the big boys, he's not your guy. Like the people you need to be looking for are your Landos, Charles Leclerc, Oscar, George. You know, if you're looking for the young marquee driver, they're the people you need to be, you know, grabbing and making them believe in your project. It's not Sainz. Sainz is not.
So I think I'm trying to look for the reasons why I may have gone for Sainz. And it's probably because all the other young drivers are potentially locked in. Now, I know Charles's contract ends the same time as Carlos, but it seems like with Jean Todt and from Monaco, you know, I think Leclerc's a bit more tied into Ferrari. Lando, you know, there's reports of him potentially got his eye on Red Bull.
Nah, I think he's McLaren.
But you don't know. Don't know. With Lando, you don't know.
Now that they're starting fixing the car, he's a lot more happier to stay at McLaren.
But the rumors about him and Red Bull have only come out since the cars got better.
They tried from before. Because the thing about people don't understand about Red Bull, you know, people go, they don't want to pay a good driver next to Max. They don't care. They will do it because obviously
if the driver's good enough.
They believe in Max. Two, they also know, that if we build a car good enough, whatever happens. Like Red Bull is feeding you to the dogs. They feed you to the wolves. It's like, you know, you gotta go out there and eat. You gotta be the fittest, the strongest, the best driver.
Yeah. Is what it is. Okay, so let's say if Lando doesn't go Red Bull. Right now, McLaren will probably be in a better state than Audi are. George's Mercedes. I just can't see any reason. Like probably based on the fact there's no one else there, they might have gone for Sainz, maybe Albon, but I just don't see the logic in potentially going for Sainz.
The problem is that it's not even like you're grabbing Sainz and whatever. It's like you don't even have. Like, thing is, they have a driver academy. They have a driver leading F2 in their academy at the age of 19 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And he can't even get a sniff. Like, we're hearing no news of him being promoted. So that just sounds like the only person who cared about that was Fred Vasseur, and that the people there now are just doing nonsense. I'm just like, bro, either he's levels or you've wasted your money doing this.
Exactly,
So, like,
yeah.
promote him, get him to be your flagship. Like, this whole Carlos Sainz thing, it's not it. And I don't really like. I'm like, if you're serious about trying to be the best, I'm not trying to see him be in your team, be the like the leading driver.
Mm-hmm. Let's touch a bit on his teammate. There's obvious questions about his future. I personally think he's going to stay with Ferrari.
There is
he's got. He just reminds a bit like Harry Kane, Tottenham. He ain't gonna go. I can't see him going anywhere.
So the thing about Leclerc, which is different to Lando, is with Lando, Red Bull wanted him. With Leclerc, they said no, it won't work. They've openly admitted.
Why won't it work with Max and Leclerc, but it works with Lando and Max?
Lando's a bit more, let's say, you can see him do a lot more team orders and team order moves. We've seen it, and it's a bit less,
Bro, one's got a race win. That's it. Has got race wins. That's what it is.
They underestimate how good Lando is.
Yes.
And it's one where, like, when you see it,
just say it, bro. If Lando's there, he's gonna happily not settle for race wins.
Yeah, he's not gonna settle. He's gonna go machine for machine against Max Verstappen, and I'll be there for it.
He won't, bro. He will happily play second fiddle. That's so, bro. Answer the question then. Why would they prefer to go for Lando over Leclerc?
Because it's less risk, high reward. So with Lando, it's less likely to blow up. But if he proves himself to be better than Max, great. We got someone better than Max, but it's less likely to just blow up and turn into tears. Whereas with Rosberg, with like Leclerc and Max, it will turn into Rosberg, Lewis, Senna, Prost. They're those type of characters. So it's a thing of, you got to know the type of person you're dealing with as well.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I'm trying to see man go, toe to toe. But yeah, Charles is stuck at Ferrari because there's nowhere else for him to go. Because people talk about Mercedes. George isn't going anywhere. Lewis isn't going anywhere.
It's crazy because at the start of, so obviously the key theme at the end of 2021 was obviously Lewis, he got robbed of his title. And there was all this talk about, you know what? We've got some great young talent in good teams there. Anyone can flourish. And they were talking about Charles at Ferrari, George at Mercedes, Lando at McLaren. And now they're like, oh shit, they're all locked in. If they're all locked in, where's that world title going to come? Everyone says they're future world champions. Yeah. Where's that world title going to come? Where's George's world title going to come? Where's Leclerc's?
There's time because you have to remember, like, we had a whole generation, say, coming for, let's say, between 2001, 2 till about the end of the decade, about 2000. Actually, never to the end of the decade, about 2007. So that, let's say, a good 6 year period, that brought in Raikkonen, Alonso,
Lewis.
Hamilton, Vettel, even Button was like in and around that period of time. All of them, man,
championship, yeah.
it all got championships. So it's more as long as the teams deliver and act serious, they can all be up there. And then I'm trying to see a 2003. I'm trying to see a 2012. I'm trying to see these man all go up against each other, you know, and
We want to see that. Yeah.
So we have to wait and see whether it comes next year or they have to change the rules and hope it comes in 2025.
Bro, let's quickly touch on Binotto before we get on to listeners' questions. Talk of him and Alpine. What do you reckon of that?
From what I hear, the talks come from like the head of Renault as well. So in that case, that sounds good because I think he wanted to avoid a situation that he had at Ferrari, where like the head of Ferrari wasn't his boy. Like the person who hired him, unfortunately, had to quit because he had an illness that he passed away from. So if he has his head and then he's able to just to do his thing, Renault will make improvements because Ferrari, all jokes aside, like we clown Ferrari, they made a lot of improvements on the technical side. Like they got a new wind tunnel simulator. Everything's all upgraded. They brought in a new technical team and system. You know, it's the same thing that McLaren are running now. And it's like he modernized the team in a sense. So he wants to do the same thing at Alpine, and he just needs reassurances from the people behind to kind of let it go. Let me cook. And then if you get the right support around him, like let's say they're able to bring back Alan Prost to be, you know how Toto Wolff had Niki Lauda.
Some ambassador or something.
Yeah, an ambassador, someone who's there to give guidance and stuff. That's the stuff he's not so good at. You do that, you have a good team principal on your hands, and you have the right people by your side. He wasn't given that at Ferrari, and it all went to rubbish because you didn't have the right people to kind of go, look, do this, do that, back this person, back that person, kind of thing. So he gets that about Renault. He'll do some good stuff.
A lot of people say, and you made some really good points there, because a lot of people say Binotto, he's not a team principal, he's an engineer. But he did make some good points there that, he did change a lot at Ferrari, which shows that, he's not just an engineer. He's more than that. Would be good. So let me rephrase that. How genuine do you reckon these rumors are for him and Alpine?
Very, because I think he was always looking for a team principal stop. And I think the easy option was always Audi. I think if that didn't happen, he was going to wait for like a role to be team principal at like an elite, a team that could either be elite or is elite. So bingo. This was the best opportunity he has to,
It could work, yeah.
Restore his reputation and take a team up again.
Calm, bro. Let's get on to listeners' questions before we wrap up. All right, so we've got one here from Mark. Mid-season rankings, top 5, top and bottom 5. We covered that one already. Either standings at the end of the season, who do you think wins the second half between Alonso and Hamilton? Hamilton easily. Just especially the way that Aston Martin's going now. I know I said that they were the surprise, but they're just, I just don't think they're going to do it.
They followed Ferrari's recipe from last season, where your car was cooking in the slow corners, kind of slow in a straight line, and then to go fast in a straight line, you ruin the whole you make upgrades and ruin the whole balance of the car. Like I've seen this story before, but I'm gonna wait. Like the agenda's out there. They're following Ferrari's footsteps, but We'll see if they can recover. Because Zandvoort's the test. Zandvoort's got some slower corners, a bit twisty. If they're cooking there, then fair play.
Yeah, hold
If
on.
they're
On paper,
if
that track should
they're slow,
suit them. Yeah.
if they're cooking, fair play. If they're slow, you're following the same steps as Ferrari. I don't need to worry about them, man, anymore. Alonso's got to be looking at Charles Leclerc and George Russell to see whether he's going to come in the top 5 even. So,
because he's got a big points. He had a big points lead, and I've seen Charles just chip away at it. Yeah.
like that. This is my last time I'm off the podium talk.
Yeah.
Boy.
On his birthday as well, wasn't it? His birthday
was
weekend last time out or something.
Yeah. He was cashing checks he couldn't afford, bruv. Your Monzo's is rejecting him, bruv. It's not working no more.
All right. Deconscience is a good question. You had a white folding chair. Who in F1 would you hit with it? Lol joke. Man had put up. that was about to. And you know what? The next question was, how much longer can Haas keep getting away with it? So we'll come on to that one after. But let's go back to Deconscience question. Mahad put up the pit stop list, and it got me thinking. Do you think other teams don't give a fuck, or are they just incapable of doing it faster?
Okay, so with it was a thing of so like Red Bull are really well drilled with the pit stops, and so McLaren and so Ferrari, something that they trained on and worked on to get faster. And with other teams, like Williams are actually quite competent. The thing is, Mercedes, it was just lack of training. Like, I know it's lack of training because they were doing 3-second stops every race. They finally got into the top 10 graphic in Spa with a 2.87. And I was like, you know what? That's progress. Like you're not doing normal pit stops now. It's like it's not a thing where it's like your pit stops are slow. It's costing your drivers. It's now at an acceptable level. It's competing. So that we always laugh at Ferrari for getting it wrong, but when they get it right, they're fast. So it's like it's just chaotic when they get it wrong. Mercedes is just slow. Alpine, slow. Aston Martin, slow. It's like, bro, you need to do practice. Like,
simple as. I think pit stops are one of the most crucial part of one. I'm not just saying this because we're repping Pitstop Fracas, pun intended, but there is so much that literally you have to think about when you are doing the pit stop. Little things like, okay, are the other cars coming in? Is that going to block you from coming out? Is that going to block you from going in out of the way of the other cars? Changing weather conditions, speed at which you change it, knowing when to come in, knowing when to leave, knowing all feeds into obviously the strategy. It's so important and so crucial. And fair enough, we're talking about fractions of seconds here, but it makes a huge difference. Charles got done badly in Hungary, didn't he? Like 9 seconds or something. Was it Charles? Yeah, someone.
Yeah, Charles.
It just makes little things like double stacking. You know, Mercedes, their reasoning for not pitting Lewis at Hungary was that he was going to get held up. Hungary 2021. Get held up. Pit stops for me are fundamental, and just like the other key aspect, you need to really take it seriously. Otherwise, you get left behind.
Yeah, and also I am smacking, going to stand with the chair like he's Chris Benoit. I'm going to hit him with the chair.
How long can he keep getting away with this?
He built the team.
This is good from them.
He built the team. It was his idea. He got the investors in. The team's not. I don't think they're losing money or anything. And like, he finally hired like a marketing guy the other year. It's one of those things where they're such a small team in a sense that it kind of gives everyone a bly as they slowly build things up. But I sit there and go, they need new people in there and better people and just to be better.
So he's built the team up. Do you still think he's the right man to lead them forward?
he needs to kind of change position, whereas he can be like, he should be more in the Zach Brown role
Yeah.
rather than pure team principal.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously he like the team's not fallen apart and he's held things together. Even through all the nonsense they've been through, he's held it together. But it's a kind of thing of sometimes you need someone of a bit more expertise and he's a bit better than you just to be next to you to kind of improve things and tell him where the next step is and what to do and how to act, because sometimes it's just embarrassing what they're doing. It's like,
Yeah.
the bar sprint quali where you're not getting the laps in, or spa quali where they held Hockenberg too late. And it's like, you're ruining your opportunities. Like, there's the lack of pit equipment being upgraded. And it's just like, come on,
Just not good
man.
enough. Yeah.
It's not good enough. And yeah.
He's still gonna get hit around the head. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course. I don't like that guy. Look, we all know why I have an agenda against him, so like it's sticking.
For me, if I hit someone around the head, oh my god, I don't condone violence in any way, shape, or form. It would be Fernando Alonso. Like, for some reason, I just he's a good driver, yeah, but it's just, I just can't stand him half the time. Some of the stuff he says.
I got my Christmas present, but him binning it in Spa, was my Christmas.
Yeah. Hold on, he completely binned it on his weekend, on his birthday weekend. No one around him, no nothing. Remember they used to say that about Leclerc?
Yeah.
No one, no nothing, no one around you, binned it. So anyway, I guess we could end it up there, bro.
Okay.
Sorry, bro. I'm in the door. I guess we're going to wrap things up there. If you haven't already, please make sure you like and subscribe. Haven't, give us a 5-star rating and a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And yeah, we'll be back next week with another pod. Until then.
Was it next week?
Yeah, we'll do one next week, bro. Filler. What, you don't want to do it? You on summer break as well, Chris? Is that what it is? Yeah.
No. It's more just I'm just like they're going, hey, whoever's hosting, or you're not cashing checks for other man to deliver, innit?
No. We'll do a pod next week. We'll find something to do. Don't worry. We might even get you to be question master. How's that sound, Mr. Will Knowledge?
I'm good, because that means I have to find questions and get the answers, and that sounds like effort, bro.
All right, maybe I'll put together a quiz for next week. How's that sound?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so you can be a double world champion when it comes to quizzes. Yeah. All right. Next time then. Peace.
And until next time, peace.